SabongD, the highest ranked Junkrat player in Asia, is often mentioned by Jonak as the best Junkrat in the world, and currently competes for the top spot with Smile from our previous video. Smile's Junkrat is very reliant on mechanical skill and high risk plays, while SabongD has an entirely different playstyle of low risk high return. The map is Legion Control Tower, which arguably is the best map for Junkrat. He starts off with a slurry of primary fire and concussion mines to pressure out the enemy team. Take notes of how SabongD moves around by sticking to the left wall. If you choose to play the front part of the connector rather than sticking to the back, it becomes extremely easy for you to be exposed into the enemy line of fire. Because of how good Junkrat is in tight spaces, the enemy team is forced to rotate out to main, giving up the high ground control. While using the enclosed area with cover, Junkrat can take a turn to poke freely into the enemy backline without facing the risk of getting too close. The enemy Tracer gets caught by the trap in an attempt to contest SabongD, allowing him to continue spamming into the enemy team. We win the first fight smoothly, so SabongD retakes the connector, takes cover for the cooldown, and pops back out with a primary trap and concussion mine for a kill. He peeks out to main for a bit to poke, and quickly returns back to cover. The goal is to secure down the area until the enemy Hanzo regroups. Because it's too risky to engage the Junkrat and connector, the enemy team chooses to push out the Sojourn on coast. Reading the enemy's pathing, SabongD sticks close to the ledge and peels off the enemies from the Sojourn. He leaps up to the high ground ledge, and as the KROW ults to engage, SabongD pulls a Riptire. Takes a second to make it harder for the enemies to react to, and blows it up right on top of the point, closing out the fight. The closer you are to the teamfight, Junkrat's Riptire becomes increasingly more difficult to destroy for the enemies, because the KROW would have to ult onto point, and the enemies would engage near the KROW's ult. The distance naturally becomes closer, giving Riptire a higher success rate. SabongD pokes for a short amount of time from the front line and decides to change positions. As any DPS, it's never a good idea to stay in the same spot for too long. He rotates into servers and goes on a flank. He wants to set up a crossfire with his team, and if the enemies turn to rush at him, well, he can place his trap, grab the health pack, and take cover using the connector. SabongD catches a Sojourn who slides back away from our team, and here's the amazing detail in this play. He limits the direction Sojourn can go by using primary fire and a trap, preventing the Sojourn from moving left, and he lands his concussion mine and follows up with primary fire. He moves up into the stairs for another turn for primary fire and concussion mine, and because the enemies can react if he uses the same angle, SabongD flanks around back again to catch them off guard. The pathing goes from servers to enemy mega to stairs and back to the enemy backline. When SabongD does one thing, he always keeps in mind the pathing he needs to take in order to make his next play. It's key for projectile and off-meta heroes like Junkrat to establish patterns and the overall strategy you want to take beforehand. And that's a dub for the first round. Now for Legion Gardens, SabongD blasts off and stays close to point for cover. Like we've mentioned before, the smaller the space, the more advantageous it is for Junkrat. Doomfist falls off the edge, being displaced by the concussion mine explosion. Knowing the enemies are running Pharah Mercy, Junkrat places a trap on the window to prevent free entry. While poking, the trap breaks, so he just goes back and places it again, and continues to play around cover while occasionally poking with his mine. SabongD quickly peeks to poke, but he never stays out in one position. He tries to find value while avoiding space, and tries to play reactively based on the enemy positioning. When he takes damage, he always moves from cover to cover, avoiding as much damage as possible. He gets antied and rocketed, but he manages to avoid the slam. It's impressive how long he managed to stay alive until the boot. He checks the Pharah's location, and then he jumps into the air for a concussion mine and primary fire to catch the enemy pharmacy. This is probably one of the best maps for pharmacy too. He concussion mines himself through the window, and seeing the Doomfist, he tosses a trap down in a random location. When the enemies are nearby, it never hurts to toss out a trap for the potential free kill. Seeing the ping for pharmacy, SabongD plans a dive bomb once again. He jumps up, hits the concussion mine, and just when I thought he missed it, whew! And he never forgets to trap the window. Heading into the last fight, SabongD Riptires just in case. The enemy team are all upper top 500 players, but when SabongD plays, the game just looks so easy. We have a bonus clip from SabongD, and I'll be ending the voiceover here. But let's see what you can spot about SabongD's plays from Colosseo, and let us know your analysis in the comments below, and whether you think Smile or SabongD deserves the #1 Junkrat spot. As always, thanks for watching, and enjoy the show.
떠나지 마십시오. 반드시 이겨야 합니다. 이번 마지막 기회야. 제우를 맞이하십시오. 안녕.